So Augustina has this way of writing a letter that gets attention. And when she wrote to my solicitors, not only did it get the attention, my solicitors basically were, they were hot on the heels as to find out why I was coming back. The second letter opened up what was now known as my way back forward to taking my ex-husband back to court. Through Augustina's mentorship, through her just wanting to be of help, investing her time, her effort with me, it made me feel like I had somebody in my corner after all these years. It had been quite a difficult time with my ex-husband because life was very difficult. My ex-husband basically had numerous affairs. We have 2 children together. I terminated the pregnancy when I found out my ex-husband had been unfaithful and produced a child, of which it almost caused me to have a breakdown. I developed quite a drink problem because of this, and I advocated for our son, my stepson, to come into our family home, which I had to let our 2 children know that there was another sibling. That was quite difficult for a few years, but I still held on to the marriage, hoping that I could show that I was basically a good wife, and I could overcome anything. It didn't stop the toxicity of the marriage, sadly, and in 2013 I filed for divorce for the first time. That was pretty hard because in between all that, my in-laws became ill. My mother-in-law, sadly, we lost her, and then my father-in-law 4 years later. So once my mother-in-law passed, I decided again, I pulled it out of court and decided to go for it a second time because I couldn't put up with the narcissistic behaviour of my ex-husband. Even now, funnily enough, he'd actually say to people, I didn't want to get divorced, but still want to carry on a lifestyle that was not conducive to me. So in the end, after my mother-in-law passed, I filed for divorce. That had to be one of the hardest things I've ever had to do because I actually really loved him very much. And I think sometimes when you get involved with people who show narcissistic behaviours, you tend to lose yourself very quickly because you become so undermined, and your sense of self and self-worth, you don't tend to keep it you just don't tend to keep it. So it's taken, and I'm a lot older now, the whole situation has taken nearly 8 years out of my life. Once I've gone through the divorce and we decided to move the children out to where I am now in Brighton, the relationship that I've formed with other people started to come into play, but the relationship with Augustina has been the backbone of a lot of things in my life to get me back to where I need to be. There are a lot of things I didn't even know about with regards to holding space, boundaries, how to deal with myself emotionally, self-care, and through her mentorship and her, actually I've put it down to love as well, because her heart is incredible, and I've never really totally witnessed that, especially with another sister. She just gave me hope. I think when you really do feel that your life is devastated and there's despair there, you just don't understand how you're going to get it back. I was 56 when I came back here, and I hadn't worked for nearly 20 years. And having conversations with Augustina, she still kept me going, putting one foot in front of the other, knowing, and even down to my relationship with my children, it was just breaking down to the point where the only words I could use, it was becoming so fractured that she had to really give me a kick up the backside, because my kids are my life force. Everybody knows me knows that my 3 children and my grandson are everything. So having to go back and learn to listen, again, another tool that I've really taken on board from Augustina. Learning to not to react so quickly to things, taking my time, learning to breathe effectively. And I do yoga, and even that I was doing as a pain medicine, but not really taking the full experience of what it means to me. So learning to breathe was really important. survival, coping mechanisms of how to survive. Again, I thought I could just do this by just bulldozing my way through it, but what I was doing was actually hurting myself and actually people around me, especially my children. And again, I had to put it all back. I've come to Augustina and there's been moments I've just dumped my whole world right on her doorstep and expected her to pick up the pieces for me. And what she taught me was how to empower myself, how to come with it, and show that basically that I could handle myself in a calm, composed manner and still get what I wanted. So when the opportunity arose for us to go back to court, she came with me, stood with me, listened to what my solicitors at the time, who weren't totally convincing, but brought us into a place where we knew what our strategies were and how I was going to move forward without the ranting, raving and screaming of what happened 4.5 years ago, nearly 5 years ago actually, to be fair. And again, that takes great skill and great time for somebody to put that into you. And I have learnt a hell of a lot. The court case itself over this unpredicted times of COVID started in January, and we got to mediation. Sadly, my ex-husband didn't play ball, so we lost mediation. Again, Augustina kept me calm, kept me focused, kept me moving. Paperwork after paperwork, looking at things, making sure letters were written properly on time, but this time coming at it in a very calm manner, not throwing my toys out the pram, not screaming the place down. And all this time, and I will say, you know, somebody who's had a drink problem, I haven't drunk for 19 years, but I was getting very close to tipping because my emotional body was going back to where it was comfortable because of the narcissistic behaviour. So again, having my hand held, being coached along the way has been very, very helpful. So we came down to a place where we had to go for costs, and again, Augustina strategized how we needed to get there, keeping calm, saying prayers, meditating, using my yoga, all these tools basically that have come into play here that I needed to get me to the end journey, and Augustina was there coaching me every step of the way. That was pretty difficult when we had to go for costings, because if I didn't get the results, I would have been bankrupt. And my ex-husband knew that. And I remember the day before having a conversation, and Augustina was pretty tough with me, pretty tough. But I knew what she was saying to me was out of love. But it was the result. We had to go for the result because everything was starting to stack up and was going well. So for me to fall down now and to compromise myself was not part of the deal. So I had to get myself together, breathe, use the techniques that she'd given me, and tune in. So we went to court via Zoom, and it all fell into place. I got the result, and my ex-husband had to pay £56,000 of my legal fees, which in fact was all of them. The final step was the hardest one because we had a final hearing and everything was on it. My house, a financial settlement, everything. And once again, Augustina did what she had to do. She was tough with me, but this time I knew how to hold myself together. And I remember saying to her, "You haven't brought me this far, and I haven't come this far to drop the ball." So to bring it all to where it needs to be now, the result was got. We got the result, and I now am the proud owner of my own home. I own my own home, and a settlement in excess of just over £1 million. This is the first time I've actually said this publicly. I have a new life now. I think we don't actually realise sometimes that we have to look down the road. And I think when you have a life angel with you, that's going to basically help to empower you. I wouldn't have that. I have a landmark birthday coming up this year, and my life has now been given the opportunity of freedom. And I think anybody, any woman or man that's been in this position, freedom is everything. But if you don't do the work and actually have that support in your corner, you can achieve it, definitely. And I think it's really important that a coach if you have an amazing coach, you will recognise Your Majesty.